you're actually following them and not making, so that is one of the thing I noticed. You have to follow them and wait maybe a day or two before you unfollow them after sending them the message. So you won't be flagged.
So wait a couple of days before you send that first message.
No, when you want to send a message, especially when you're using Instagram on laptops, you have to follow them first for you to see the message box, then message them. So when you follow them, before you unfollow them, wait for like a day or two after you've sent them the message. Even if they've not replied yet, you can still unfollow them back, but still wait for like a day or two before unfollowing them.
Okay, so you're saying follow them, and then
send the message, and then wait a day or two to unfollow.
To unfollow, okay. Gotcha. So, and then did you say, do they have to follow you back for them to see your message?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Is it, so they do not have to, you can follow.
It drops in the message request. So they definitely are going to.
Yeah, but that's kind of hard to find, isn't it?
Yeah, well, since I deal with brands, I message them directly on their Instagram. They kind of reply, so because most of them check their message requests for customers
gotcha.
reply, or so they check it. So.
Okay. Yeah, just see how that's working. I mean, if you follow people and they're not following you back, and you're sending a message and you're not getting a lot of responses, then maybe you need to just send the people that actually follow you a message. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. I'm not a Instagram expert, but you know, and it's very helpful when you guys come in here and like Esther just did and help out the rest of the team. So please do that. I just hit record, so I'm going to go over these quotas again real quick. So the daily quotas that you need to reach as far as friend requests on Facebook, connection requests on LinkedIn, and Instagram on follows on Instagram are set so that you can connect with as many people as possible without getting your accounts flagged. But it's going to give you the opportunity to have as many conversations as possible by hitting these quotas, because you're going to be able to friend request as many people as possible without causing any issues with your account. And then that's going to lead to as many conversations as you can have as possible. So for Facebook, it's going to be 40 friend requests. Throughout the day, you're basically going to check and make sure if these people accepted your friend request. Remember, for Facebook, we're importing people from a Facebook group, so they're going to go into the lead-in stage. Then we're moving them over once we send the friend request. So really the best way to check this is just go into your recently added friends. If they have accepted your friend request, you'll find them in your funnel, your pipeline, and you'll move them to the accepted friend request stage, and then you'd send this icebreaker, and you'll do that throughout the day. That way you're friend requesting as many people as possible, and you're sending that initial message to as many people as possible throughout the day. Daily quota for LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a restriction on the number of people that you can connect with each week, and that is set at 100. And so we set the daily connection request quota at 25, and that way you're hitting that 100 number. But if people start accepting your connection requests, LinkedIn's going to be a little bit more lenient with that 100 number and maybe let you add a few more. So doing 25 per day is going to help you to kind of manage the extras that you get. And so then what you're going to do is check your connections every so often. You need to set these set times throughout your day where you're going to go check for any new connections, and you'll import those people into your pipeline into the connection accepted stage, and then you're going to send that icebreaker. So again, just like with Facebook, this is going to allow you to connect with as many people as possible without causing any issues with your account. And then sending those icebreakers throughout the day is going to help you to send as many of those initial messages as possible without getting any issues in your account. And then finally, the daily quota with Instagram. So you can follow a lot of people, but you have to sprinkle this throughout the day. You have to be very careful with Instagram. They're very tricky in the fact that they're looking at the number of actions you take every set period of time. So every 30 minutes or so, they're looking to see how many actions did you take during this period of time. Is that natural? And if it doesn't seem natural to them, they're going to block your account. So I would just kind of be slow with this, start with like 5 every 30 minutes, then you can slowly kind of ramp that up until you feel comfortable, until you maybe get to a point where, hey, they've blocked my account. I probably need to slow down a little bit and go back to your previous number you were doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to follow those people. As Esther mentioned, you can send these people that you're following that aren't following you back a message. Just know that that message is going to go into their message requested section, and they may or may not see that. So the people that actually follow you back are definitely going to see your message and are most likely to potentially respond to you because they've seen that message. So follow, as many as, if Instagram is your client's main channel, then try to follow as many as you can throughout the day without causing any issues to the account. And just take note, if you do cause an issue to the account and it gets blocked for a day, then move back a little bit, pull back on the reins a little bit. And then you're going to check the number of people that follow you throughout the day, and then you're going to send that icebreaker. Again, you could send the icebreaker to the people that are not following you, and just see how that works. So that's daily quotas. Again, any questions on daily quotas? And just remember, the reason we're doing these daily quotas is because there are certain restrictions on each of these channels. If you do too much in a day, you're going to start seeing issues with your account. So we need to stay under that number, but we need to be connecting with as many as people as possible so that we can have as many conversations with people as possible. And that's going to give us the best chance to get as many appointments as possible. So it's kind of like a funnel. You try to fill the very top with as many people as possible, and then there's going to be less and less people as that you move down that funnel. So now let's talk about managing conversations. All right. So the Flowchat workflow that you're going to follow each and every day, and you need to set this on your schedule. And I would definitely set a schedule for yourself so that you can take care of these tasks in order. And then you'll kind of just recycle through these different tasks throughout the day. So the first thing that we're going to do every single morning, and I did not put it on this this list here, is we're going to update our tracking sheets with the numbers from the previous day. So you need to be tracking all your tasks and all the results, not your tasks, but all the results every single day. And you do that in the morning from the previous day. So you're going to fill out your tracking sheets with all the numbers from the previous day, because something might have come in overnight and you need to just track that on the tracking sheet. And that way we've got, we've got a set time that we update our tracking sheet and things don't get kind of thrown off. So you're going to import. So you're going to fill out that tracking sheet. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to import leads daily, if appropriate, and add to the appropriate pipeline stage. Now, this really applies to mostly LinkedIn and Instagram, depending on how you're importing people into your pipeline. Facebook, like we mentioned yesterday, if you find a really good Facebook group and you import all those members, you probably have as many people to prospect to as you'll ever need, unless you're doing like the strategy where your client does like a Facebook post, and then when people start commenting, you're importing those people into the system, which is a great strategy and they should be using that. But if they're just trying to prospect to Facebook group members, you really only need to do that once and then push those people into the lead in stage. And then you'll have all the people you need to prospect to moving forward. With LinkedIn and Instagram, currently the way that we are importing people into the Flowchat pipelines from these two channels is, once a connection is accepted, we're going to the connections section. And let me just open that up so we are all on the same page. So let me do this real quick. And then just like bear with me for 1 second here. All right. All right. So with LinkedIn, every morning after you've filled out your tracking sheets, you're going to go into My Network. And then we're going to go to Connections. And you're going to look and see if anybody is connected with you in the past, 24 hours, or if anybody's new in here that you haven't seen before. Then what you're going to do is you're going to import those people. Okay, not sure why that's not showing up, but you'll import those people into the connection accepted stage in your LinkedIn prospecting pipeline. And then for Instagram, you're going to go check your followers. Let's just do that real quick. And again, it looks like there's an issue with the actual extension. So, I think it's maybe because I'm not exactly sure why that is actually. All right, so for Instagram, you would go to your followers, check and see if there's any new followers in here. And then you'd import those people in. So that is what you're going to do on a daily basis with LinkedIn and Instagram. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, LinkedIn groups could be a good way to import people into your pipeline. And if you did that, those people would go into the lead-in stage, if you remember, because remember, lead-in stage is for people that are in our target audience, but we're not yet connected with. So if you imported people from a group, those are people that should be in your target audience. Now I would check the members to see if they fit, but they would be in your target audience, but you have not connected with them yet. So you could use the pipeline at that point to connect with them, and they'd already be in your pipeline. So you wouldn't have to import them from connections. And then you can just manage them. You could just manage them much like you do the Facebook, just import them once and then manage them on the pipeline. The only reason that now we bring them in from connections is we don't have a great way to get them into the lead-in stage. Now, like I've mentioned before, at some point, the Flowchat extension is going to be able to import from, say, a Sage search in Sales Navigator. And then at that point, you can bring people into, you can create the search, and then you can bring people into, there'll probably be some kind of button in here that helps you to import them into the Flowchat, and then you can import those people into the lead-in stage, because again, they're in our target audience because we created this search, and that's going to give us all the people that fit that search criteria, but we have not connected with them yet. So the extension will probably bring up some button to copy those people. We'll import them into the system and we'll put them into the lead-in stage. I don't know for Instagram if there's going to be a way to get people into the lead-in stage. I can't think of any way to do it from the top of my mind. But essentially what happens is you're going to import those people into Flowchat throughout the day. But that's also going to be the second thing you do after your daily, you add your tracking sheet. You're going to import them into the pipeline, into Flowchat, and then add them to the appropriate stage in the pipeline. All right, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to review all replies and make sure they're a good fit and respond. Make sure they're a good fit and respond appropriately, and then move these leads to their appropriate pipeline stage after responding. So let's go to LinkedIn, for instance. Let's go back to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually log out of this account, and I'm going to go into our actual agency account. And we're going to see if we've got any responses, and we'll reply appropriately. So So I'm logging in. I'm going to go to our LinkedIn pipeline. And Aor, you need to watch this. All right, so this is our LinkedIn pipeline for this particular client. Now you can see there's a lot of overdue things because our VA is sick right now. So if we go back to LinkedIn and we go to, let's go to LinkedIn. So we're going to go through here and we're going to respond appropriately to some of the people that are messaging us back. So the first thing that I would do is kind of scroll through here and see if there's any bolded threads. A bolded thread tells us that somebody has actually responded to us. So it actually looks like we do not have any responses since before August 3rd. Let me see. And usually you'd have like a red bubble if somebody had responded. So it looks like we have no responses, okay, which is not great, but you know, it is what it is. But let's say, for instance, that this lady right here responded to us and she said not interested. Okay, so that's, she comes in here and she says not interested. So what we would do is we would go find her, and I don't know if she'll be, she probably won't. Let me go back a little bit further. So let's go to Audrey here. All right, so let's say this lady finally responded and she said she's not interested. What I would do at that point would be to go to my pipeline. I would type her name in. So I would go to the toggle filters and then I'd say Audrey. Okay, so this lady is overdue. We've sent, she's actually, I'm gonna save this for later, but if she said she's not interested, then what I would do is click on her name, and then the lead status I could do, let's see, do not contact. I could do not qualified, lost or closed, one of those, and I hit save, and that would pull her out of the pipeline. So that's one thing that we can do. Another thing we could do is if she responded positively, and then I would drag her over to reply to previous message. And then we would see what her response says. Let's say that she asked us about cost. So what I would do is I would move her over to reply to previous message. We would look at our templates that talk about cost. So we've got one here that says cost objections. Well, we have multiple, blah, blah, blah. So what I would do is I would send this message, and I would, let me just copy this real quick. I can't copy it, but I find the appropriate message and then I send it to her in that once she's replied. So it looks like she has not responded. We'll actually get to this in a second. And then the other option is if, okay, so if she replies, we're going to move her to the reply to previous message stage, and we're going to send her the appropriate message. Or if she said we're not interested, then we're going to pull her out of the pipeline by changing her lead status. So and then just make sure that you're checking all the new messages that have come in and we're responding appropriately. And we're finding them in the pipeline by toggling the filter and then putting their name in, and that will help us find them where they are in the pipeline and what message we need to send to them, or where we need to move them to. Does any questions on replying to the incoming messages after we've imported our new connections? And actually what I might say is that we need to actually respond to, I might move that actually. I might say that we need to review all replies and then import our leads later on. So I might move, what I might do is import these before we send our friend request. That way we're getting everybody in there before we send those friend requests. So I'm going to actually move this. So we would track all of our messages, our update our tracking sheet. Then we're going to review all replies and make sure they're a good fit and then respond appropriately, and then move them to the appropriate pipeline stage. And then we're going to review leads in the pipeline with today or overdue tags, only if a good fit, and then send the appropriate message and move the lead to the appropriate stage. All right, so any questions about reviewing all the replies that are coming in and then sending them the appropriate message and then moving them to the appropriate pipeline stage? Any questions there? All right, no questions. So the next thing that we're going to do is review all leads in the pipeline with today or overdue tags, only if they're a good fit, and then send the appropriate message and move the lead to the appropriate pipeline stage. So to do that, you can see that we've got a lot of overdue. This one should not have an well, actually, that's not true. Because this is a connection accepted stage. So all of these are overdue. So what I need to do is I need to go and find this person and make sure they have not responded. So I'll go back to LinkedIn. I'll type in Somer and I'll find this person, make sure they have not responded. And then since they're overdue, I'm going to send her the next message in this pipeline. What I'll do is I'll click this right column. And I know that she is, so she is, the way we mark these different pipeline, these different cards is we're using different messaging. So one means send one type of messaging. The other means send a different type of messaging. So pink is, I actually need to go and check and see what we've sent Beth to understand what, because the VA has been managing this. So Beth Donaldson. So she is, all right. She's kind of all over the place with this. So I'm not sure my VA gets it. Let's see here. So we're going to go with, I actually created some new messaging for this. So I'm going to test this out a little bit later. But what I would do, and I'll just show you how to do this. So we just sent her a message. We can choose which one of these message variations we want to go with. I'm going to review by just kind of hovering over this. We're trying to collect some information. That's kind of a question flow. Just checking to see thoughts. Okay. And then let's see, I'm going to go with, you can tell that I haven't managed this. I'm just going to go with the message that, so you can, so basically what you do is you would right click to review all the message templates, choose the one you want to go with. And then you can right click on the one that you want to go with. And then that's going to take us to their message thread. And then you'll click Control V to paste in that message. I want to actually see what our previous message is. And I'm going to send that. I don't know why it's not populating. So I sent her the next message, right? And then what I'm going to do is once I send that message, now I can move her over to the next stage and I can keep going down my list of overdue. So let's do the same for Dr. Julie Jerkins. I want to go and I want to see what I sent her previously. Was it Judy? No, Julie. All right. So let's find Julie. Let's find what we sent her earlier. So I would love to know how things are going, especially here in Florida. All right. So she has not mentioned any or responded. So I'm going to right click on the message bubble to see what kind of message I want to send her. Not sure. All right, so I want to send this one to her. So I'm going to Now I'm going to left click on this message. That's going to take me to her message thread. And then I'm going to paste that in. And then I'm going to click send. And now we're going to keep going. We're going to move her over. And I'm going to just keep going down this line until I get all these overdue gone. So let's continue to do this. I'm going to go find Tom, see what my previous message said. I also want to be able to be managing or checking these conversations or and I have not been doing this, their job title to make sure that they're a good fit. And I'm not sending it to people that aren't in our niche. All right. So this guy said he's not currently operating the therapy biz. So I want to actually take him out of the pipeline, which should have been done already. So I'm going to go to my pipeline. I'm going to click on Tom Crane, this guy. And then I am going to change his lead status to not qualified. And I'm going to click save, and that's going to pull him out of the pipeline. And then we're going to go find Chelsea here. See what her previous message was. Awesome to connect. How's everything going there at Medcar? She has not answered me yet. And so let's make sure, let's look at her title. She's a chief administrator officer of MedCore Revenue Services. So she is not in my target audience. She does revenue services. We are looking for this particular client for people that are own medical practices, some sort of medical practice. So I'm going to actually take her out of the pipeline too. I'm going to click on her name, and then we're going to go to lead status. We're going to do not qualified, click save. That's going to pull her out of the pipeline, and we'll continue going. Ricardo, let's take a look at Ricardo. All right, so Ricardo is I believe that means he's a chiropractor. Hey, Ricardo, massage clinic doing great. Currently working on developing one-on-one or small group classes. She did not, here's what she did wrong with this. So every time that you get a response, you need to read that response and see how first of all, you need to acknowledge, what they said. And if they say something that just shows you it's not a good fit, you shouldn't send them something like this. So I'm gonna actually mark him as not a good fit. She should have read the previous message and understood that he's really more of a trainer than he is trying to get clinical patients, which is what we just pitched him on. So again, always look at their previous response, and then you're going to respond appropriately. So you're going to have an acknowledgement of what they said, and then you're going to basically, if the pitch doesn't fit, then you don't need to send the pitch. You need to send something else, or just mark them as not qualified. So I'm going to pull him out of the pipeline because he's not qualified, because he's more focused on some of the other stuff, some on classes. All right, so now basically we've gone through this whole entire stage of pipeline, and we've gone through and we've taken the actions that we need to take for the people that are overdue or due today. So you'd move on to the next stage. You would take care of all those tags, respond appropriately or take them out of the pipeline and then move them over to the next stage. And then that's how you would get rid of all these tags throughout the for that day for this particular client. And then once you've done that, you're done with this task for the day. There's nothing going to come overdue today. Once you've taken care of all those overdue tags, they will come up in next day or a couple of days. So once you've done all that, now it's time to let's actually kind of move this stuff around right now. So I'm going to move this up to number 1. I'm going to move down this one to number 3. And I'm going to change the numbers around here. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 1. All right. All right, so now I've got this in the correct order. So once you've added all your tracking sheets, then you want to actually respond to all the incoming replies that came through overnight and then move them into the appropriate stage. Then you want to review all those people that have the overdue and the today tags throughout your different stages, and then take the appropriate action and move them to the appropriate next stage. Then what you want to do is go and import your leads from either connections on LinkedIn or followers on Instagram. Again, you should have already probably imported all the people you'll ever need for Facebook, and you could potentially do that from LinkedIn groups as well. So once you've imported those people, then we want to send our first icebreaker messages to all these people. And then you'll kind of repeat this whole process throughout the day, except for this today and overdue tag thing, because that's gonna, once you take care of that, that's done. Okay, so let's go back to our pipeline. Now, what we're gonna do is, now that we've imported our connections, now it's time to send these people our initial icebreaker message. And one thing you'll notice that when we're messaging people on LinkedIn, if we're bringing them in as connections into the connection accepted stage, some of these people will not have the messaging bubble. So what we need to do is we need to get that messaging bubble added to their card here. But let me actually first go and respond to this Kathleen Miller person. So this is overdue. I'm not sure exactly why it's overdue, but I'm going to choose which message I'm going to send her first. And I want to go and I want to make sure, first of all, that we don't have any messages to her, or see what the initial message was. Okay, so we just sent her a connection request via email, which we're going to talk about. We can talk about a little bit later. But basically, now that we've got her and she's connected, we want to send her our first message. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to right click to review all the potential messaging templates that I have in this stage. And then I'm going to choose the one I want to go with. And so I'll kind of review which ones I'm looking at here. And then I'm going to pick the one that I'm going to send her. So I'm actually going to send her this content pitch. So once I find the one I want to send, I'm going to left click on that. That's going to take me to her profile, and that's going to copy that message. Okay, so why is that? Let's try that again. So I'm going to, let me just start from scratch here. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to right click that. I'm going to find the one I want to send. I'm going to left click it, and that should take me to her thread. Okay, so it's not finding her thread, so we actually have to go and find this thread. So what I'm going to do is, somebody must have put the wrong thread in here. So what I'll do is I'll click her name, and then I'm going to head over to LinkedIn, and I'm going to type her name into the search bar here. So Kathleen. All right. Not sure what's going on here. Let me refresh. All right, let me try that again. Kathleen. All right, so now I found her in my messaging. What I'll do is I'll click on her thread here, and then that's going to give me a link at the top here. You'll copy everything that is before the question mark. and we're going to grab that URL, and then we're going to go to her lead details here. We're going to scroll down and we're going to paste that into the LinkedIn chat. So I'm going to hit paste, and then I'm going to click save. And now this button should take us to her message thread. So let me try that again. So now that I have her message bubble in here, I'm going to right click. I'm going to find the template I want to send her, and then I'm going to left click, and that should take me to the message thread. Okay, so that worked that time. So I'm going to click Control V, and then I'm going to click send. And she is in our target audience. We always want to check that. All right, so now I've sent that, and I will move her to the next stage, which is icebreaker sent. And then we'll move on to the next person. So Chris Fisher. So most likely we have not messaged him in the past, so we need to bring in the speech bubble. So to do that, we're going to go to his profile. And then I'm going to click message. And actually, he is in our, we have sent him a message previously, and we actually sent him the content. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually move him, because we've actually added him. So for this particular client, we're pitching some content. They give us our email, we add them to our email system, and then we have a stage for that. So what we're going to do for this guy is we're going to move him all the way over to sent 7-figure blueprint. And now we're going to move on to the next person. So I want to see if Chris Lowry, if we've ever messaged him before. So I'll go to his profile, and these are for new connections because we have to get that speech bubble in there, right? So I'm going to click message. I'm going to see if we've ever sent him anything. Okay, so we haven't sent him anything in a while, but he's the Chief Development Officer at Bethany Medical. So I think what I will do is I will send him. Well, we can find him in messaging. So if I go to messaging and I look up Chris Lowry, we can get his messaging thread. So I'll search for him in messaging, then I'll click on his thread here, and then I'll grab that link, copy it, and then I will go into his name here, go into his lead details, scroll down. I'll paste it into link to LinkedIn chat, click save. And then if I refresh, his bubble should pop up. And then I'll choose the message I want to send to him. So I'll right click to bring up all the templates. And then I will send him the appropriate message. And then I'm going to click this straight pitch actually. And then that will bring up this message. And I actually want to try a different messaging template that I created the other day. I'm just wanting to do this while I'm on here. So I'm going to grab this message template real quick while we're waiting. And see how this kind of works. So I'm going to go find him in our client folder. This is not part of the training, but I wanted to do it while I've got this open. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to test this. All right, so let me now go to this messaging. And I'll paste that in. We'll have to change this. So the last message we sent him was a while back. So I'm gonna send that, see how that does. I'm gonna try this for new messaging. I'm actually gonna replace one of the templates with this. So I'm gonna go in here And this is going to be my straight pitch. And actually, since I'm recreating a new template, I kind of want to save this old template just in case. And I'm going to paste in this new one. And then I am going to save it. And I should have 2 straight pitches. I'm going to unselect this old one. And then I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to use this new pitch for my new prospects. So now that we've sent him this initial message, we're going to move him over and we're going to try this next person. So we're going to go to Chris Ryan. I'm going to click on his profile. That's going to take me here. I'm going to make sure he's in our target audience. So I believe he is, and I'm going to click message. And it looks like we've messaged him in the past. And what I'm going to do now, so this is something that is another thing that my current VA is getting incorrect. So she sent him a lot of messaging in the past, but he's still sitting in the connection stage. So he's gotten a decent amount of messaging. So I want to put him, I'm not even sure which stage it is, to be honest, because I'm not doing this on a daily basis, but it looks like he is probably in this unresponsive follow-up sent. So I'm going to move him over there. And you got to keep up with these stages, people, because you don't know what conversation you're having with them. So you need to make sure that you're moving the people in the stages. So I'm going to click on this Christian guy here, go to his profile. And then I'm going to click, okay, so Alvi Intentional Pain Management. He looks like I don't really know what he does for him because it doesn't say. He's the president and founder. Okay, so this looks like a good prospect. So I'm going to click on the messaging, see if we've sent him messaging in the past. It looks like we have. So he's not been very responsive. So I'm just going to actually mark him as not responsive. And unresponsive. So I'm going to mark him as unresponsive. I'm going to click save. So I don't want to keep bugging these people if they're just not responsive at all. We only want to spend our time on people that are. So we'll go to this person. So she's a founder and managing partner at Rejuvenate Spa, which is a very good fit for this particular client. I'm going to click message. So we have sent her a lot of messaging in the past. She's also unresponsive. So I'm going to actually mark her as unresponsive. It's probably very hard to redeem yourself after sending all these messages and not getting responsive. So let's try a couple of more here. So he is the clinic owner at Pittsburgh Chiropractic and Wellness. Let's click message. He has also been sent messages, and this was sent Tuesday, and we have not moved him over. So all right, so I'm going to move him over to unresponsive follow-up sent. And we're going to check this next person. And then I'm going to click on message, see if we've sent him anything. We've also sent him something in the past. So I'm going to actually send him another message. I'm going to have to find his messaging thread. So I'm going to go back to message. And then we're going to look up Christopher. And it was this person right here. He is the president and CEO at Brainsway. Not sure what Brainsway is, but let's just say he's a good fit. And actually, he wasn't responsive either, but just to kind of end this just kind of end this training here. I'm going to grab his URL for the messaging thread. I'm going to go into his name. We're going to scroll down and paste that into his LinkedIn chat link here. I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to refresh, and his bubble should appear. See, his bubble should have appeared. I'm going to find the message I want to send him. So I'm going to right click. We're going to go with this new straight pitch. So I'm going to left click that. That's going to take me to his message thread. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to kind of review it. And this must not be the right. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to definitely check. So the token here is not the right token. So I've actually probably sent some people the wrong messaging. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to paste that into this first part here. And then I'm going to click save changes. And then we're actually going to go to his message here. And now you'll see when I paste it in that it should replace that part. And I'm going to put doctor because a lot of these people are doctors. Reason I'm reaching out is I help run, we scaled. Okay, so then I'm going to click send. And then like what should have been happening all along is now we're going to move this person to the next stage so that we know what we've done and what tasks have happened for this particular person. So that is basically the flow. And then once you've kind of sent a few of those messages, then we're going to, especially to all the new connections, you can start, if you've imported connections in the past and you've got a lot in here, you might want to message some of those old people to kind of start pulling people out of this connection accepted stage and then getting them messages. Okay, so don't overdo it. Don't send a ton of messages in a day, and kind of spread it out throughout the day. But that is kind of the flow of how you're going to manage these conversations in Flowchat. And then tracking results. Final thing we're going to go through is tracking results. So make sure pipeline reports are set up in Flowchat. So inside of Flowchat, you can request a report to be created. So you would go to the Slack support channel and you would ask them to create a report, and you tell them what pipeline and then what stages you want to track. So for this particular pipeline, what we want to do is we want to go and find that pipeline. And the important stages that we want to track for this particular person is connections accepted. So if we think about our tracking sheets that we've trained you guys on in the past, we have several different columns that we're tracking. First of all is connection requests sent. And we're going to send as many, 25 per day through the manual invite process, which is where you just go, you create a search, and then you send them a request and you'll add a little note to that request. So those are sending connection request invites. Then we're going to track, the other column in that tracking sheet is connections accepted. And so by tracking those two numbers, we're actually able to get the connection rate, or the number or the percentage of people that are accepting our connection request. And that tells us if our connection message that we're sending along with our connection request is doing well. So if that number is low, or that percentage or rate is low, then we know that we need to kind of change up our connection request. All right. And then the next thing we're going to track is icebreaker sent. So this is basically our initial message. So how many initial messages are we sending? And then the other main number that we want to track after that is replied to previous message. So we're trying to track how many initial messages we sent, and then what percentage of those people actually respond to us. So we're tracking replied to previous message, which gives us that response rate. Now, we're not tracking these two columns, these two stages, because these are just follow-ups. We really just want to know, okay, how many of the people we message are actually replying to us? And we only need to track that first message to be able to track that response rate. So once they get to this stage, now that gives us our response rate. So that tells us, okay, our messaging from the first initial message to the next few follow-ups, something needs to be tweaked in that if that's low, if that response rate is low. So then once they've replied to our message, then we're actually wanting to invite them to a call. So this pipeline needs to be kind of edited a little bit, which I'm going to do after this call. But what we would do is this would have another one of those, like the pipelines we've been building would be question answered and then invite to call. And then we could track the invite to call stage, which tells us, hey, we've invited this many people to the call. And then we would track the agreed to call stage. That tells us how many people agreed to the call. And then the final stage we want to track is book to call. So how many of the people that we invited to a call agreed to the call, and how many of those people booked a call. And if you wanted to really ultimately track, how your pipeline's doing, you would track one deal. So how many of these people actually turned into paying customers? All right, so any questions on anything we've talked about today? I know it was a lot of information. This one's very important. You can see that my current VA is having some issues, but it's really not that difficult once you start doing this. You just need to remember to be moving these people in the pipelines, and you need to be going through all these overdue tasks, taking care of those tasks, and then moving them to the next stage. So any questions? Any questions on any of the training we've done on Flowchat in the last few days?
No question from me.
Okay. You said no question, or you do have a question?
No, I just said no questions from me.
Okay, gotcha.
Hi, coach.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good. I was walking around the Flowchat website yesterday, and I couldn't get rid of the Flowchat extension on my Chrome browser.
Yeah, it looks like I'm even having some issues, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'll need to check on that, and then we'll post a message in Slack.
All right. And another thing about Instagram importing of leads, I kind of see that there's an import link through Instagram likes on the Instagram aspect. So I tried importing leads into my pipeline through likes on Instagram, but the issue there is it's an Instagram page which it's clearly a public page. So some of the likes, not really most, to be honest, some of the likes are not really in our target audience. So I think what I'm just going to be doing is removing those ones that are not in the target audience of the particular niche from the pipeline, but we can actually move the ones in our target audience into the leading, because we don't have connections with them yet. We haven't made connections with them yet, but they are in our target audience, and that's through Instagram likes.
Okay, so what you're doing is maybe going to like a competitor's page and then importing their or I guess likes would be on like a post, correct?
Yeah, sure, on the post.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I say that the best way to import is probably followers, because likes that's just people liking a post. They could see it, anybody could see the post and it not be in the target audience. So you're in control of going out and following people, and then those people that you follow you can import into your pipeline. Well, what you could do, I just thought of this, to get people into the lead-in stage, which are, again, for everybody's review, lead-in stage, which is not in this pipeline, but most of our pipelines should have lead-in stages. This is an old pipeline that really needs to be redone. But the lead-in stage is people that are in our target audience, but we have not connected with. So I was just thinking that actually a good way to get people in that lead-in stage from Instagram would be to go find your competitors. I'm just going to try find a piece of software that your target audience might follow. And then what you could do is you could go in and you could import all of their followers. I don't think my extension's working, but you could import all of their followers into your lead-in stage. And that way we somewhat know that these people, if they're following, this piece of software that, my ideal customers might follow, or a competitor that your ideal customers might follow. If you're importing them into your lead-in pipeline, then that actually could be a great way to get people into the lead-in stage. So I'm actually going to start training that. That's actually a good idea. So that way we're starting to find ways to get people into our lead-in stage on all 3 of our channels. So Facebook group, we know how to do that. That's Facebook groups. LinkedIn groups could also be a good way to bring people into the lead-in stage for LinkedIn. And then now I think going after competitors or pieces of software or some profile on Instagram that has your target audience in there might be a great way to get people into your lead-in stage for Instagram. So that's actually pretty good. Thanks for helping me think of that. So yeah, I think that's a good way to get people into your lead-in stage and all the different channels. Balkis, you got a question?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. How about adding people from the hashtag?
I don't know if we're able to do, let me look at hashtag. I don't know if we're able to do that yet, but let's do, I don't know. I'm just going to do Atlanta because that came to my mind. All right. So I don't know if there's a good way to do that, but let's see. Yeah, I don't really know if the extension is going to be able to, bring these people in. It's a good thought, but I don't think that the extension has that capability yet.
I think the extension covers likes now. So under each post, if you click under each post, then if you find your target audience under the people that like the post, then you can import them into your pipeline. The extension has a likes imports.
Yeah,
now, so.
yeah, you could do that for like competitors. I'm not sure if hashtag would be a good one because maybe you just have to kind of be weary of it. I mean, so a lot of the people, even if you bring people in from followers of your competitors, there's probably going to be a lot of people that aren't in your target audience. So just make sure as you go through your lead-ins and you're following people that they're in your target audience before you follow them, as you would in any when you're prospecting on Instagram. So just always make sure on any channel that the people you're sending messaging to are in your target audience. So any other questions? Any questions? All right, if there's no questions, then we will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to do the office hours at 7:30. It's usually at 9 a.m. Eastern, but tomorrow I have another meeting at 9. So we're going to do 7:30 for the open office hours tomorrow. What I want you guys to do is I want you to have your pipelines ready. I'm going to be calling on you guys to show me your pipelines, and we're going to go through them. I'll show you, what needs to be fixed, what you're doing good. And then the people that are coming with their pipelines, I'm going to definitely take notice of those people. And if you do a really good job on your pipeline, then you're going to be at the top of the heap when it comes to people that are going to get jobs. So that's what I'm looking for, is you're going through this training during the week, and then Fridays are meant to kind of go through you guys' pipeline. Let me see the ones that have done the pipeline, and you've built the pipeline, you've added messaging, you've imported people into the pipeline, and then yeah, we're going to walk through your pipeline and how to manage conversations and stuff like that. So the people that show me that they know how to do this stuff are the people that are going to get the jobs, because those are, I need to know that you understand this stuff. So again, if you have not received access to Flowchat and you want to build the pipelines, you want to show me your pipelines tomorrow so that we can understand that you know what you're doing, then please send us a message on Slack and we'll add you to the Flowchat tool so that you can build your pipelines and start working on this stuff. So again, if you're ready to get a job, then build your pipelines and import people and show me your pipeline tomorrow when I ask for people who have their pipeline ready. Okay. All right. Thanks guys. And we'll see you tomorrow.